We're on lockdown in France. It's kind of bizarre, actually. Before I tell you all about it, I want to say a massive thank you for all of the emails and messages which you guys have sent this week. It's really nice to know that whether we're all in the same country or we're separated by oceans or whatever, that we are all going through this craziness together. So thank you very much for all your love and support, and I'm sending lots of love and support back to you because I know this whole thing is just a bit crazy. Like, really crazy. This week's been nuts. If you're not a member of the Facebook group and you want to come and share in the conversations that we're having over there, I will drop the link below in the notes and you can just click on and be approved. Please remember to actually answer the questions, not just join group, otherwise it won't let you join. Also, I'm going to be putting some videos up very shortly. I mentioned them a couple of weeks ago. I didn't realise quite how relevant they were going to be, about living with your partner or spouse in a small space, or living with your kids in a small space. And whether you've got a big house or a little house, being locked up all together in one of them is pretty much the same as living in a motorhome. Eventually, you just need some space. So I will be putting them up very shortly. If you're not already subscribed and you'd like to know when they go live, click subscribe and the little bell, and that will tell you, YouTube will do its thing, and it will tell you when that is live and ready to go. Right then. Lockdowns, France. How did we get ourselves into this crazy mess? So we had a situation on Monday where we heard that France were going to be shutting their borders with pretty much everybody. And we had to make the really hard decision, actually, about where we were going to be. I was in France with Mac, our dog, at the motorhome. And for those of you who don't know, we bought a place over in France a couple of years ago when we realised that full-term motorhome travel wasn't going to be our thing in the long run. It was fine for a few years, but we knew that we would want a base eventually. So we chose to buy a small place in France. It's turned out to be quite useful. There are some massive pros to it. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's not near anybody. There's space for the van. There's space for Mac to have a bit of a run around. And we have space to store more than 2 toilet rolls, which is pretty much all we could keep in the motorhome. So yeah, the place in France had a lot of advantages. Obviously the big drawback was that our family were in the UK, but we just didn't know what to do or kind of where to go. We'd always joked about the place in France being like our zombie apocalypse, whatever place. But actually when it came down to it, did we really want to be on a different country to our family? And then, yeah, it just became very emotional, and we don't know if we made the right decision or not. We don't know. The fact of the matter is that there wasn't a good decision, and I'm not very good with situations like that, it turns out. I've done quite a lot about myself this week, because I like to kind of think things through and make the best decision, and there just wasn't one. So yeah, that's what we've done. We kind of vaguely were planning on going to France, and then we realised that they were going to close the borders like at midday the next day. Mr. WB was in the UK, I was over here. There was no way of travelling between the two because everything got booked. He did manage to get on a Eurostar at like 5:30 in the morning. Apparently it was so crammed with people. A lot of French going back to France before they shut the borders. It was standing room only for half the time, which on a Eurostar is unheard of. And then, yeah, he had to make his way from Paris down to us, which wasn't as easy as it sounded. Trains were being cancelled and they were fully booked and they were overbooked, and it was all a bit of a palaver. And then the curfew kicks on at like midday on the Tuesday, and I'd gone to pick him up from the local train station. I kind of expected the roads to be empty. They weren't. People were out, people were shopping, people were chatting, and it was just like, okay, strange sort of curfew. And I didn't see any evidence of police or the army, although apparently they were around like at the supermarkets and stuff asking people why they were there. So the situation is now that we can't leave our van or our house or anywhere. You can't leave your little place. You have to have a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper I think there are 5 different options. You've got very important business work, which I'm guessing they're checking. You've got going to the shop, you've got taking your dog for a walk, you've got doing some exercise, and there's one more which I can't remember, which is a reason. Oh, I think visiting sick relatives, maybe. But you can't visit relatives if they're not sick. So yeah, it's all a bit odd. As people who are used to being kind of on the go and moving around and travelling, being in one place for a while, in some ways it's quite nice. It's like an enforced break. But in most ways, because it's not us choosing to enforce the break, I just want to rail against it and fight against it. But we're not. We're staying put. We're doing our bit. We are abiding by the rules. It's just hard. And I don't like it. I'm doing it, but I don't like it. So I've sulked for a few days because I'm mature like that. But it's getting a bit better now. I'm finding the positives in it as much as I possibly can. So we've taken everything out of the van and given the van a really, really good spring clean and clean stuff. And I figured out like more things that we carry around that honestly we don't really use very much and aren't worth their weight or their space taking up. And I have got on with doing some, we spoke a little while ago about pimping our van, and luckily we'd got some of the stuff, like we've got a new backsplash and things. So we're doing that and we're keeping ourselves busy, and yeah, it just feels odd. I can't explain it. It's like you can't go anywhere, and then of course you really want to go somewhere. It's like when you give up chocolate and all you want, like immediately, or give up wine. It's the very thing you want is what you can't have. And I just want to be able to go out somewhere for a drive or for a walk or for something. But yeah, it's going to be odd. And what I think is going to be really difficult at the moment, they've said it's going to be for 2 weeks. I don't think anybody believes it's going to be only 2 weeks. I think we are all resigned to the fact that it's going to be a lot longer than that. Apparently they're going to increase it in 2 week increments so that they don't upset us. Because I think if they said right now it's going to be 6 months, the French would just revolt. What I find really interesting, and maybe this is a measure of how serious the situation is, the French argue about everything. Like everything. There is a strike or a protest or a riot or a something involving high-vis jackets. And they're not at the moment, which is fascinating. So yeah, I think that basically shows you how serious the situation is. Whether they do when they try to enforce the curfew for another couple of weeks or not, who knows? But now we wait and we wait and we wait some more, because that's pretty much all we can do. So I'm going to be hanging out in the Facebook group if you want to come and chat to me. I'm also going to be sending some emails. If you're not on my email list, by all means, come and join me, and I'll be sending some tips and things to keep us all occupied and not going crazy. But yeah, there's not a whole lot else I can say except that I hope that you are well. I hope that your family and loved ones are well, and I hope that you continue to stay that way. I think the UK right now is probably going to end up like France is. I think it's going to be tough for a while. I think it really is going to be tough for a while. I'm entertaining myself by planning some new trips. I'm also catching up on some of the stuff that I haven't done. I keep talking about doing my Croatia one, so I might get on with doing that. Yeah, I will try and catch up on all these things that I've been saying I'm going to do for ages and ages and ages. If you are ever thinking about downsizing or sort of decluttering your life or trying to live down on one income or no income as it may be, now's probably a good time to start. If you have got a garden or anything, now might be a good time to start planting some veg or stuff, because honestly, who knows what's going to happen. I sincerely hope in 2 weeks it's going to all blow over. I don't really think that's going to happen, but that's just my opinion. Just voicing my opinion right now. This is not a medical fact. I just think it's going to be a long haul, having seen what's happened in China when they said that they were sort of free of it and then they opened the borders and it's come back. I don't think it's going to be gone that quick. So yeah, this now might be a little time for us all to go good life and start planting things and doing things and stuff, which is hilarious because we've never had a garden. We haven't really got one now, but I don't know what I'm doing. So I have a tiny bit of land and I'm going to have to plant stuff. It's going to be hilarious. So yes, that is our update. I will continue to post them for as long as you guys want to see them. Not a lot's going on in the motorhoming world, so it's all about other stuff at the moment. But again, my love to you and yours, and I will speak to you very soon. Take care.